The question is...
We need a whip.
We need a whip. We need a whip. We need a whip. This House do now adjourn.
I beg to move that this House do now adjourn.
Andrew Mitchell.
The question is that this House do now adjourn. Mr. Andrew Mitchell.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker. It's not often I see so many members in the House when I talk about the royal town of Sutton Coldfield, but it's a great honour to see so many here tonight. And, Madam Deputy Speaker, it's not often that I've needed to raise a constituency matter on the adjournment of the House, but the subject I address today is of such grave importance to my constituents and to the future security of the royal town of Sutton Coldfield that it demands urgent ministerial attention at the dispatch box. The last time I held an adjournment debate was in respect of the reassertion of the royal status of Sutton Coldfield. On that occasion, the government made clear our right to use the word royal in the title of our town, and my constituents were grateful and deeply honoured by this reassertion of the royal status that we have now enjoyed for 496 years. Today, 10 years later, I'm once again extremely grateful to Mr. Speaker for granting me this debate on the subject of the proposed closure of the Royal Sutton Coldfield Police Station. This proposal is being peddled by the Labour Police and Crime Commissioner and has appalled virtually all my constituents and appears to be supported only by 2 Labour councillors in the Royal Town. Madam Deputy Speaker, the Royal Town of Sutton Coldfield has over 100,000 inhabitants. We also host the second biggest new housing development in the country, around 5,500 new homes in the Langley area. A town of this size requires a fully equipped, proactive and professional police station, housing all manner of relevant police assets. Our current police station has protected our town since 1960 and sits on the main road into the town centre, giving police officers immediate access. Core policing means local policing. Local in serving our community, in dealing with all policing issues, reassuring the community and offering a safe refuge to victims of crime and harassment. Core policing is about a 24/7 response where officers work locally to cover response calls and know their areas and the local hoods and villains. It's about a locally based CID that can provide qualified investigators who focus on locally reported crimes, from minor offences to major crimes like robbery, serious assault and burglary. Investigators become aware of local crimes and emerging problems through locally based intelligence. Neighbourhood officers know local issues and problems. They deal with minor offences and antisocial behaviour, providing proper reassurance to the local community. Our excellent bid, led by Michelle Baker, which helps drive progress in the town centre, continually warns about the dangers of shoplifting and antisocial behaviour. The police deal with local offenders, including sex offenders. They work with all agencies, probation, social services, children's services, the NHS and fire services to address local issues. There are specially trained officers working with partner agencies, and they need privacy to work with victims of domestic violence and sex crimes who need an appropriately sized safe space. A town of 100,000 souls, Madam Deputy Speaker, and rising, deserves all of this. And in our case, we pay for it. The residents of Sutton Coldfield pay £8 million into the police precinct every year. The estimated running cost of £303,000 per year for the current station represents less than 4% of the annual local police precinct. And I mention in passing that £20 million was found to renovate and embellish the police headquarters at Lloyd's House. Over recent years, Madam Deputy Speaker, I've made crystal clear to my constituents, who so generously re-elected me in the last general election, that I would do my best to prevent any closure or diminution in police activity in the Royal Town. I was very pleased to see this pledge mirrored in the election material by the newly elected Labour West Midlands Mayor, who himself pledged to halt the closure of all 27 police stations throughout the West Midlands. He clearly has little influence with his Labour colleague, and I give way with great pleasure to my neighbour.
Thank you. I'm very grateful to the Right Honourable Gentleman for giving way. And I think he would acknowledge, as much as I will be making some further points later, that actually Sutton Coldfield Police Station covers more than Sutton Coldfield. It also covers communities in my constituency, particularly in the Streetley area, and that this closure programme of the Labour Police and Crime Commissioner is something that has been going on for far too long, and actually we need our police stations now more than ever.
Well, my right honourable friend is making an excellent point, and I will come to the strategic point that she has made in just a moment, but I was pointing out the apparent lack of influence the newly elected Labour Mayor of the West Midlands has with his colleagues, since in his literature he promised to keep open the 27 police stations. But, Madam Deputy Speaker, not even a fortnight after the general election, I was astonished to see a for sale sign in front of our police station. Neither I, as the Member of Parliament, nor members of the Royal Sutton Coldfield Town Council, nor any of our councillors were informed back in March 2023 there were promises by the PCC of consultation with our Town Council. Madam Deputy Speaker, Mr Speaker have made clear that he wants to see greater respect for politics and politicians. But how can this noble aim be achieved when we see this sort of cynical, manipulative disregard of the wishes of the local people by those elected to serve our interests? I have no doubt that some will argue that this sort of decision is an operational matter for the police. Well, Madam Deputy Speaker, the whole point of police and crime commissioners is that they should represent the wishes of local people and speak up for us in respect of policing decisions. I was a member of the Cabinet that introduced police and crime commissioners, and I have to say that in my view the jury is out on whether or not this has been a successful reform to our law and order architecture. If police and crime commissioners are captured by the local police establishment, that reform is by definition a failure. They are meant to represent us to the police and not the police to us. They are our servants and not our masters. I give way with pleasure.
I thank the right honourable gentleman for giving way. Would he share my concern that in my constituency we have not got a single publicly accessible police station that have been closed under a programme led by our Police and Crime Commissioner, the previous Police and Crime Commissioner. We've never had a Labour Police and Crime Commissioner in Staffordshire. It has always been a Conservative Police and Crime Commissioner. So would he hold my Commissioner accountable for those closures in the same way he seeks to hold his Commissioner accountable for his?
Well, Madam Deputy Speaker, he must, as he is, champion the interests of his constituents as he sees fit. But I'm very glad to hear that he has a Conservative Police and Crime Commissioner. Perhaps, I don't know whether he still does or not, but if he does, I'm sure that they will serve the community extremely well. And on the subject of consultation, the perfectly fair and legitimate request by myself and the leader of the Royal Sutton Coldfield Town Council, Mr Simon Ward, for the Police and Crime Commissioner to come before the Town Council and answer questions from the councillors and public has been turned down. Instead of this, he wants a behind-closed-door meeting with me, the leader of the council, and a couple of other councillors. No, Madam Deputy Speaker, we want genuine public consultation, transparency, not behind-closed-doors private meetings. And I fully understand the need for value for money, and that the Royal Sutton Coldfield Police Station is at present inadequately used. Indeed, for many years at Christmas, Madam Deputy Speaker, I visited our local police station to dispense House of Commons fudge and humbugs to the hard-working officers and staff who work there. Over recent years, the consumption of fudge and humbugs has diminished as resources have been taken away from the station. But instead of denuding police services from significant location in a key strategic part of the West Midlands to the northeast of Birmingham, the police service should be looking at basing far more of these services, which I described earlier, in a strategic hub, building on the advantage of a significant space in Sutton Coldfield, rather than trying to flog it off. Our police station was once an operational command unit for the West Midlands Police, which now looks set to be reduced to a refit of 3 small, dilapidated, semi-detached houses. What a contrast, Madam Deputy Speaker, to the brilliant West Midlands Fire Service, who have invested in their strategic location in the Royal Town adjacent to the police station. And before anyone suggests that this is all down to the wicked Tories mercilessly culling budgets, consider these 4 facts, Madam Deputy Speaker. Funding for the West Midlands Police has been increased by nearly £40 million, taking the annual police budget to £629.2 million, recruiting an extra 2,176 police officers, invested £24 million in violence reduction units in the West Midlands to tackle the most devastating crime and put the worst criminals behind bars, and fourthly, investing £9 million in West Midlands through the Safer Streets funds. Now, during the course of this campaign to save the police station, I've had the benefit of advice from several former West Midland police officers responsible for policing in the Royal Town. I thank them for their years of diligent service and for their insights and advice. They told me that they were totally opposed to the closure of the police station and that this was their professional opinion and their advice. They made clear that they opposed the loss of a significant visible deterrence and the easy access to a fast redeveloping town centre, with the recent reopening of the Royal Cinema, probably the finest boutique cinema anywhere in the UK, and the purchase of the Gracechurch shopping centre, as well as the millions of pounds of investment secured under the previous Conservative government. All this adds to the case for more policing in Sutton Coldfield. The loss of our police station will mean a significant reduction of services and a diminution of policing. The loss of the custody cells, currently mothballed, at a time when we have seen from the recent disgraceful rioting and demonstrations that circumstances could arise where there would be a strategic need for such things. These regionally strategic facilities should not easily be disregarded. It is not that long ago that these expensive facilities were provided. Indeed, I think I performed the opening ceremony. And this strategic point is at the heart of the intervention from my right honourable friend, who so rightly talks about the importance of a strategic location northeast of Birmingham, serving both mine and her constituents. I give way.
Thank you. And the right honourable gentleman is so right in making this point, Madam Deputy Speaker. He demonstrates that police stations are integral to our communities, but with the potential loss of Sutton Coldfield station, Aldridge under threat, strategically, what does it leave us with on the eastern flank of the West Midlands at a time when we know resources have been increased? In the case of Aldridge Police Station, if we lose the base for our police officers as well. And it should not be about bricks or bobbies, it should be about both and making sure we have a strong police presence to represent our communities.
Once again, my right honourable friend puts her finger on the critical point and underlines the case that she and I are making about the good policing of our constituents. Now, Madam Deputy Speaker, the sale of our police station will realise millions of pounds, much of which will clearly not be spent in Sutton Coldfield. In their place, we are offering instead a low-grade option for policing with very limited facilities, selling short the people of Sutton Coldfield. At best, a small public contact centre composing of 3 small police houses to the rear of the existing station. This is clearly a wholly inadequate marginal replacement of a proper police station. It is a measure designed to save money and not to enhance policing, and it is well known, Madam Deputy Speaker, that policing is local or it is nothing, and this proposed closure takes the local out of policing in the Royal Town. The motto of the West Midlands Police is forward in unity. This decision takes us backwards in great disunity. The PCC proposal has been strongly condemned by residents, former police officers, all elected Conservative councillors, senior figures throughout the local community, and by me as their MP. I pay a particular tribute to the vigorous campaigning and eloquent arguments put forward by Simon Ward, the leader of the Royal Sutton Coldfield Town Council and his hard-working councillors, by our energetic local Birmingham City Conservative councillors, including the highly effective David Pears, and by Jay Singh Sohal, a former Police and Crime Commissioner candidate with immense experience of policing issues. But these are but the tip of a huge local campaign, vigorously supported and engaged in across my constituency. On the day of the disastrous announcement of the sale of the police station, I received a letter in the post from the PCC, not addressing the pressing matter, but instead discussing his hopes on matters such as community policing. For community policing, Madam Deputy Speaker, to be effective, it must take advice from the community. It hopes to police and protect, and not press ahead without consulting that community. With decisions like this taking such little regard to local opinion and safety requirements, it cannot be a surprise that under the Labour Police and Crime Commissioner, West Midlands Police were placed under special measures, and I fear that until he starts working alongside local communities, instead of dictating to them, the fate of key services like the police station, things may only get worse. This decision, Madam Deputy Speaker, to close the Royal Towns Police Station is a mistake, and I urge the Labour Police and Crime Commissioner to reconsider his stance and engage with humility, with rigour and energy in a proper public consultation with the local people whom he serves, so he can listen to their concerns directly and honour the West Midlands Police mantra, forward in unity. I give way once again to my right honourable friend.
Thank you. My right honourable friend is being very generous, but on that point of engagement, in terms of Aldridge Police Station, I think it's high time that the Labour Police and Crime Commissioner did engage fully with us in Aldridge and actually came clean with what his intentions are. And I want to make sure that he's left in no doubt that not just my right honourable friend, but myself as well, will continue to fight tooth and nail for these vital services that our communities deserve. It is wrong, as I'm sure my own right honourable friend will agree, that resources are all too easily directed to other parts of the West Midlands, and in particular to Lloyd House, when we have needs in our own communities as well.
Well, once again, Madam Deputy Speaker, I must draw my remarks to a close so that we can hear from the Minister, on whose appointment I wish belatedly to congratulate her. But my right honourable friend once again makes a critical point about consultation with these decisions. The whole point about having police and crime commissioners, as I said in my remarks, is that they should listen to the local community and represent the heartfelt views of the community which they themselves represent. And I hope that by listening to what she and I and so many others are saying in our respective areas, the Police and Crime Commissioner will have another look at this matter and see what he can do to satisfy us on a vexed subject which has caused enormous local anxiety, fear and pain about such a sharp diminution to the policing resources which we all of us wish to see.
Minister.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Can I start by, first of all, congratulating the Right Honourable Member for Royal Sutton Coldfield for securing this debate this evening, and say it is a pleasure to see him back in his place after the general election. And I know that he has a very long-standing interest in this issue, and I commend him for taking the necessary steps to secure this debate this evening. And I think he first raised this in 2018, if my records are correct. Now, I think, as came through from his very powerful remarks this evening, the subject of the debate is very important to him and to his constituents, and I'm also very grateful for the other honourable members, right honourable members, who have contributed through interventions as well. The right honourable member for Aldridge Brownhills, and my honourable friend, the member for Stoke-on-Trent Central. Now, let me state at the outset that I fully appreciate, as a constituency MP myself, that the status of police stations can be the focus of significant attention and generate strong feelings within communities. And of course, I'm not that familiar as the Right Honourable Gentleman is with developments within his own constituency. And he will also understand that in the main, talking about decisions and considerations that are not within the direct purview of central government and myself as the policing minister, and indeed the Right Honourable Gentleman did admit that he was part of the government that introduced the Police and Crime Commissioners to give that accountability at a local level. And just to remind him that we had elections for Police and Crime Commissioners earlier this year, of which the Police and Crime Commissioner for the West Midlands was elected on his own mandate. Now, I'm not trying to say any of this to minimise the matter at hand, but simply to set out the context of the response I want to make. Now, of course, I want to stress the general importance of a strong local police presence. And before I come on to the particular situation in the Right Honourable Gentleman's constituency, I want to make a general point about this government's recognition of the importance of police forces having a strong local footprint. Now, we would all, I think, acknowledge that technology has changed the way that the vast majority of us communicate and interact with the world, and it is right, therefore, that there are a range of means for people to contact and engage with the police, including online and by telephone. But these channels should not be seen as a substitute for a physical police presence, such as that provided by police stations. And the possibility of going to a local police station to get assistance or speak to an officer is not something that any of us would wish to see consigned to history, and it is important for many of our constituents. And I know the focus of this debate is on a very specific area, but I just want to make two broader points. First of all, that this government needs no reminders about the importance of that strong local police presence in communities. And it is this government, after all, that is committed to restoring neighbourhood policing in all our communities so that people feel confident that they are being protected and our laws are going to be enforced. Now, the second point I just want to make is that members will be aware that police forces are operationally independent from ministers and from government, and that is absolutely the way it should be. And that means that the democratically elected police and crime commissioners and operationally independent chief constables are responsible for taking decisions on police stations and their whole estate. And in doing so, they will use their judgment, local knowledge and expertise to ensure that the use of their estate gives the best service to the community and fulfils the obligations around value for money. And I know the Right Honourable Gentleman will be very concerned about getting value for money. Turning specifically to the Royal Sutton Coldfield, I know that the police station, as the Right Honourable Gentleman said, has served the town for many years, since 1960, as I understand it. Now, the Police and Crime Commissioner's Office have confirmed to me directly and to my officials that while Sutton Coldfield Police Station is currently listed for sale, as the Right Honourable Gentleman referred to, it remains an operationally open police station, open as normal, with police access as normal. Now, a new police station immediately adjacent to the existing building and located on Anchorage Road, and I understand it's 300 yards, the difference between the existing one and the planned new one, has been confirmed as the new police station site by the Police and Crime Commissioner. It is smaller, and I heard what the Right Honourable Gentleman said, but I also understand that the current building is only occupied at 20%. That means 80% of that building is not being occupied at the moment, and therefore, seems to me, cannot be value for money. This smaller police station will be more modern and more appropriately sized for the local presence based on the current levels of occupancy, and is expected to be ready to move into next year. And the Police and Crime Commissioner has already publicly committed that this new station will house the response team, the neighbourhood policing teams, as well as the criminal investigation teams, and it will be open to the public. And furthermore, ownership of the current police station will be retained until the new police station is open, and they have also confirmed to me there will be no disruption or break in the public's access to the police. The Right Honourable Gentleman looks like he wants to intervene, so I'm happy to give way.
I'm extremely grateful to the Minister for giving way, and a lot of what she said prior to her last point, I completely agree with and accept. The burden of the case that I and my right honourable friend have been making is that more resources should be put into the existing police station, which, as she rightly says, is underused. That they should not be selling it, they should be reinforcing it with services which are needed not just in the Royal Town but regionally, and that the 3 dilapidated houses at the back will in no way whatsoever provide a full police perspective of the sort that the Royal Town and adjacent areas should get. There is no comparison between what is proposed, in spite of the language which she has received from the Police and Crime Commissioner, and what exists at the moment. And we are arguing that there should be a strategic increase in services put into what is an existing building, which, as she rightly says, has served the town and the area since 1960. And I hope that I can just ask her to perhaps reflect back to the Police and Crime Commissioner the importance of engaging with the local community in a way that he has not, which will be good both for the position of the Police and Crime Commissioner and for the local community.
Well, I think the Right Honourable Gentleman makes his case, and I'm sure the Police and Crime Commissioner will have heard that. I further understand that there has been an offer, and I think actually the Right Honourable Gentleman referred to this, to have that meeting with the Police and Crime Commissioner to discuss the options and what the Police and Crime Commissioner is planning to do. Can I also just gently say, as I said at the beginning of my remarks, this is a matter for the Police and Crime Commissioner and the Chief Constable to decide how best to use the assets they have available to them. And I understand the Chief Constable is absolutely committed to this new way of providing the police station in this area. Operationally, this is what he believes is the best way of providing policing to the Right Honourable Gentleman's constituents. Can I just also say that, before I finish, that I do want to take the opportunity to express my gratitude and thanks to all our serving police officers, PCSOs and specials, who I'm sure all members of the House will agree do an amazing job in very difficult circumstances, particularly in the last few weeks where we've seen the disorder on our streets. As I've set out and tried to explain to the Right Honourable Gentleman, ultimately the decisions around police stations are matters that sit outside my remit as a minister. I hope that in any event, having this discussion this evening, being able to talk through some of the issues and set out the government's commitment to making sure that we do have a strong, visible neighbourhood policing offer in all of our communities, is central to what this government will deliver through our Safer Streets mission. And I again want to just thank the Right Honourable Gentleman for raising this important issue on the floor of the House this evening, along with other honourable members.
The question is that this House do now adjourn. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. The ayes have it. Order, order.